Hi everybody. Today I'm subbing in a fourth grade classroom and I'm having a blast. It's been a lot of fun today. I wanted to share a brief moment with you about some success criteria and some learning targets that were part of our lessons today. And I want to talk to you about how to unpack these success criteria and learning target. You're going to start with the learning target first. Here's what I have for today. This was for our ELA lesson where we were learning to use context clues and learning to swap words that we already know for words we might not know or words that may not be in our everyday language, but we do know the meaning of them. So here we have, I will learn to use synonyms for unique words in my text. This is our learning target. And to unpack this, I first read it to the students, and then I asked them the first important word. I said, what do you know about synonyms? And the students were able to discuss with their partners what they felt a synonym might be. We did a turn and talk. And after about 15-20 seconds, I stopped them and asked them to tell me, so what did you hear or what did you say? And the students were able to share their thinking. Some of the ideas that they came up with were inaccurate, and we troubleshooted those, and we talked together. Do you agree? Is this what your thinking is? And as the students respectfully disagreed or agreed using accountable talk, they were able to determine what a synonym was, a word that meant the same thing, but didn't sound the same, didn't look the same, wasn't spelled the same. That was their definition for synonym. Next, I went on to the word unique words, and I asked them, when a word is unique, what does that mean to you? And they were able to, again, through turn and talk, have conversations, and were able to decide that unique meant fancy, special, important. It meant words that they maybe don't use in their everyday language, or words that were special to them or new to them. And once they were able to determine that, then we went back and read the whole thing again, but this time I used their definitions for the underlying words. I will learn to use words that are meaning the same thing but look different, sound different, or spelled differently for special, fancy, important, new words in my text. Once I was able to do that, the students really understood what I was expecting of them to do. And then we talked about the success criteria. What are they going to do to be successful? To be successful, they were going to have to trade a vocabulary word with a synonym, and we'd already defined that above, so they knew what synonym was now, to make sense of the text. From there, we took our reading passage, which was quite long and had some vocabulary words that were a bit challenging. Here's our passage. And I read the first paragraph to them, and they then determined what words in that first paragraph were unique words. They came up with words like hazardous. I'm looking at my paper here. Bitter, doubtful, recognition, darkness. And we together as a class came up with words that could be replacing that. And after replacing those words, we reread the paragraph with our new synonyms. And we made a lot of sense about the paragraph. So when they said, men wanted for a hazardous journey, small wages, bitter, cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. The students' word choice returned as, men wanted for dangerous journey, small wages, freezing cold, long months of total blackness, constant danger, safe return uncertain, honor and reward in case of success. From this passage, these are fourth graders working on these unique words that could potentially be a challenge for them in their comprehension. But because we were able to work together and share ideas, and because they knew what was being expected of them, they were so much more successful. And so afterwards, we then went back to our success criteria, and I asked each student, were you able to trade a vocabulary word with a synonym to make sense of the text? And I had a little reward for them. It says, if you can, then you get to line up for recess, because it was recess time next. We did this not just with that little passage, but that was our practice passage. And they continued reading and continued finding new words and continued working with a partner. And I have to say, I had one little boy. His response usually to reading is, I don't know. I don't want to. Just that real negative, unengaged. And I had a little trick. I told the boys and girls, anytime they came up with a synonym, I told them to, in their mind, give themselves an invisible tally. And we'll count how many tallies they have at the end. And so this little kid loved the idea of getting tallies, and he had this internal competition that he was going to get more tallies than someone else in the class. I simply had them write how many tallies they believed they got at the top of their paper. It wasn't shared out loud, so nobody knew, and it was just a matter of encouraging them to be motivated and to try to get more. And boy, did this kid's engagement in class in this reading activity sky high. Sky high. I think he came up with like 11 or 12 different synonyms for various words we were practicing on. And that was just in the group time, not alone, let alone in his work with his partner. So I'm really proud of him, and I'm glad he was successful and he was able to line up for recess first. So it was great. So I challenge you as you're working in your classroom and you have what we call learning targets or success criteria, or if you have objectives that you post for your students, it's important to go over those with the students and make sure they understand them, unpack them so that they can really understand the terminology and what you're asking them to do. Let them know how they're going to be successful. When a kid knows, I'll be successful if I do this, they're more apt to work for it than if you just tell them, okay, this is what we're going to learn, and I hope you get there, and then never let them know this is how you're going to be successful or not. It really is rewarding, and it's important, and it really guides the students' engagement, gives them purpose. So I really encourage you today, as you're in your classrooms, use learning targets, success criteria, tell the students what they're learning, help them understand that learning, what's going to happen, and then engage them in that with student talk, lots of student voice, turn and talk with a partner, sharing, coming up with an agreement. Do we as a class agree that that's a good answer? And let them have more voice than you have, because they have a lot to share, and the more they share, the more they will engage, and the more they're actually going to learn, even if they're just listening to someone else's sharing, even if theirs is incorrect. They can always revise their thinking. I never say, oh, that was wrong, can't do it anymore. No. So if someone changes their answer, I said, oh, I appreciate you revising your thinking. Let them do it. Anyway, I'm getting off. But I wanted to let you know, learning targets, success criteria are very important, and explaining what those are to your students and how they're going to be successful makes a world of difference in their success and in your enjoyment of teaching a lesson. So ta-ta for now, as Winnie the Pooh used to say. Don't know why I said that, but I like Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, and shout out to Jerry Brooks. I'm wearing his t-shirt. Seriously, I love it. Anyway, bye ho.